Hello beautiful people and welcome to my channel. Today we're back with another 5 beginner-friendly yoga poses. These poses focus specifically on the spine to increase spinal health, which will also increase your back strength and help alleviate any tension or back pain that you might have. Our first pose is cat and cow. Now technically these are two poses that are usually done together as one fluid motion. So starting on our hands and knees in tabletop position, so making sure that the knees is in line with our hips and our wrists is in line with our shoulders. If you have bad knees, you can go ahead and use a pillow for support. If having your feet flat on the mat is uncomfortable for you, you can go ahead and tuck your toes under as well. So first we start off by doing the cow pose. So you take an inhale, drop the belly towards the ground, open up your chest, lift your gaze up towards the ceiling or just slightly ahead of you, making sure that your tailbone is tilted up towards the ceiling. And then on your exhale, we're going to do the opposite motion. So we're going to round our back, allowing our head to drop forward, pushing the ground away with our palms. On your inhale, drop the belly towards the ground, opening the chest. Shoulders moves away from your ears, allowing your gaze to either extend upwards as far as you're able or straight ahead. Now, this particular motion is usually done on your breath. So inhale in cow, exhale in cat. This pose is good for waking up the spine, just increasing flexibility in the spinal area. It also works your shoulders, and if you have a little tension in the lower back, you might feel some relief there as well when you are doing cat pose. Few variations here. You can play around with this pose by either shifting your weight back onto your heels and rolling up and coming forward towards the front, and then shifting your weight back again as you go into cow pose, rolling up into cat. You can even move from side to side here with the hips, either in cat pose or in cow pose, or you can do both, switch between the two. Another option, if you have tight wrists or you have some wrist pain, you can do this exercise on your fist as well. Next up, we have cobra pose. Go ahead and make your way onto your mat, laying face down. Extending your legs, make sure that you keep your toes pointed towards the back of the room, placing the palms underneath your shoulders. Press your hips in towards your mat and squeeze your thighs together. Take an inhale and raise your chest off the ground as high as you're able to. Now you can either keep a bend in the elbows or extend all the way if you are able, but only go as high as you can without any pain, because we want to have a little bit of discomfort but not any pain. Pain is bad. If you find that this back bend is too much for you, you can try and come into Sphinx pose instead. So instead of raising up onto your hands, we're going to place our forearms out in front of us, so keeping the elbow in line with your shoulder, making sure that the elbows doesn't flare out towards the side, and just come up gently onto your forearms. Option to use a pillow or a folded blanket for your hips or pelvic area if you feel any discomfort with your hip bone or pelvic bone pushing into the ground. You can add some movement into this pose by doing some cobra pulses. So taking an inhale and raising up. On your exhale, lowering back down. Feel free to do as many of these as you would like. Next up, we have locust pose. Staying in this position, allow your forehead to rest onto the mat. Extend your arms towards the back of the room, squeezing the thighs and the glutes together. Take an inhale and raise the chest off the mat, and at the same time raise the pointed legs off the mat as well, as high as you're able to take it. Now, if this is a little challenging for you, you can come into baby cobra. So placing the palms underneath the shoulders again, raising the chest off the ground slightly, and at the same time raise the legs off the ground as high as you can get it. You can even do this in Sphinx pose as well, working your way up to either baby cobra, full cobra, or with no hands. Another option is to keep your chest and forehead rested onto the mat and simply just raise your legs either one at a time or both to see how high you can get the legs raised, and also just to get comfortable with the position. Then slowly progressing from baby cobra to full cobra, no hands, and then finally extending the hands towards the back of the room. Now, a nice counter pose here is to rest it out in child's pose, just to give your lower back a little bit of a break and also stretch out that lower back area. Making our way into a seated position as we head into our final pose. Keeping the legs extended out in front of you. Bring one leg in towards the body, sitting up nice and tall as we head into a seated side twist. The leg that is extended, make sure that the foot is flexed and the toes is pointed towards you. The bent leg, you have the option to keep the foot on the inside of the thigh or cross it over onto the extended leg for a deeper, more challenging stretch. Now, if this is your first time, you might not be able to get a deep twist, and that's okay. Only move as far as your body will allow you to move. We don't want to compromise our form, and we don't want to overextend, because if the body isn't aligned properly, you might end up injuring yourself or hurting your back. So try and keep your spine nice and tall, sitting up straight. If you feel yourself leaning either towards the back or towards the side, it probably means that you've reached over too much or you've overextended. So try and bring it back, sitting up nice and tall, making sure to only move your torso. So we are only moving our upper body, keeping our hips nice and parallel on the ground. If your hips are tilting towards the side, you've also gone too far. So come back to center and try again. As long as you're able to feel the stretch, that means it's working. And as time goes on, you can slowly progress to go into a further and deeper twist. And don't forget to do the opposite side as well. I hope this video has been helpful. Please let me know down in the comments below if you have tried it or if there's any questions that you might have. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope that you have a beautiful day further.